And we're back, part 3 of our financial safety video series. I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent. We are looking at financial safety, identity theft, and we're going to talk a little bit about banking safety next time. But we're to a point now where I think we need to just think about, we've already determined 1 in 3 people this is going to happen to. So how can we limit our loss should this become an issue? As with the rest of our series, this information is being provided by our Extension Family Resource Specialist, Bryce Jorgenson, out of New Mexico State University. He is definitely the expert in this area, but has provided some valuable resources that I, in turn, can share with you. We do have some basic publications. You can see those highlighted in our newsletter. You can go to our extension publication webpage through New Mexico State University and download that information if you're looking for some additional information that maybe isn't covered here, or if you'd just like to have that in your hand. And as always, you can subscribe to our newsletter here at Curry County Extension. So as I mentioned, 1 in 3, y'all, 1 in 3 people are going to be victims of having their identity stolen. So how, if you find out that your identity has been stolen, this has happened to you, what can you do to limit your loss in that situation? And so first of all, we're going to talk about that things need to be reported in a timely manner. And if you report loss or theft, like of your debit card, before there's unauthorized transactions in most cases, then you're not going to be liable for anything. The longer you wait, the more it could cost you in the long run when you know there's a problem. And the issue, like we've seen with a lot of these things related to identity theft, is we don't always know. So how can we monitor and keep check on what is really going on with our personal information, with our accounts, and getting a handle on what that looks like? So to start off with, timely reporting, and as we said, sometimes if you can get it reported before there's any unauthorized transactions, then it's not going to cost you anything. You're not liable for that because you've reported it. It's definitely stolen, or it's not in your possession. Those are not your charges. It's important when you have a credit card, when you have a debit card, that you're reviewing the policies within that financial institution and how that could affect any of these situations. How do you go about reporting it? What's the best way to handle that? And then how long do you have to file that legitimate complaint? Typically, again, if it's an unauthorized charges and you've already reported, hey, I don't have my card, it's not me, it's missing, it's lost, it's stolen, whatever that is, you're not going to be responsible for any of that. Okay, it's that zero loss. 2 business days after you know about it. So see, there's a difference between, well, it's been going on for 6 months, but I just now found out. Okay, then there might be this $50 fee. That might be the maximum of, hey, we charge the $50 inconvenience fee because you're not taking care of your stuff. If it's been more than 2 business days, and then, or, maybe within 60 days that you've looked at it and you said, okay, I got my statement, something doesn't look right, but I forgot about it, I didn't check on it, could be up to $500 that it's going to cost out of your pocket because someone else has been purchasing or using things. And sometimes, guys, they run up bills of tens of thousands of dollars in these situations. So, in one way, 500 is getting off cheap, but I'm going to give you some tips to hopefully avoid ever having to do that and be in that kind of a hole. Now, if it's more than 60 calendar days after you receive your statement, all the money taken out could be your responsibility, and maybe even more. There could be some additional fees and things added on to that. So checking your statements, following your accounts, making sure that all of your information is up to date, and reporting it when you see an issue is going to be a key piece of limiting your loss in the case of a stolen identity. So one way you can check up on your information, and we've talked several times that, sometimes they use kids' Social Security numbers. They get a hold of those in a variety of different ways, and they set up new credit accounts in those numbers. So you can check not just your personal account, but if you have minors living in your home, you can check their credit reports as well. This is a good way to make sure that somebody out there is not using their name and personal information to set up accounts that are going to destroy, ruin, or cause a problem with their credit as well. So there are basically 3 credit bureaus out there that can pull your credit report. They're listed here. These are ones that we know are secure and trusted that could be recommended. You can check your credit report at annualcreditreport.com for free. So you can go in there and just pull it up and look at it. It's recommended that you distribute the times you're going to check it about every 4 months or so. So like I said, about 3 times a year, 3 to 4 months, so that you're getting a good look at those accounts where they cycle through every 60 to 90 days to see if anything new has appeared or popped up that shouldn't be attributed to you. And then as soon as you see something that's not correct, you can report that information. Okay, another thing we can do is we can try to block. I say try because it never works 100% for me, but block your spam and unwanted phone calls. It's important to stay away from those spam emails because it's really easy to click on something that you didn't mean to click on, or for a virus to be attached to that in some way, or people then can access information on your device. And those unwanted phone calls, partly it's a nuisance, but then also partly you get that call. It's like, well, is this really for me? What are they talking about? And some of them, y'all, are real good at having that sales pitch to make you believe that this is a legitimate thing. So if you want to get rid of those unwanted emails, you can go opt out. It's listed here of prescreen.com, where you can go in and opt out of all of those extra things, whatever email address you're using. If it's a work one, if it's an institution one through a school, something like that. And then for those phone calls, do not call.gov, and there's a number listed on there that you can call as well to ask to be removed from all the do not call lists. Now, it's important to know when you go in and you sign up for something new, or you're receiving information from a store where you shop, or you've provided your information to them, they're not always going to come off with this list. So those are going to be groups that's important for you to physically say to them when the opportunity arises, I would like to be removed from this list. Unsubscribe from those lists. In the email, you can click on unsubscribe and take your stuff out. Or when they call, you can ask, hey, can you just put me on your do not call list? Flag my account. You don't have to close your accounts, but you flag your account that you don't want to receive phone calls. So, what if it's too late? What if this has already happened? I get in that credit report and, hey, they're using my kid's name and social security number to do something. What do I do with that? And where do I go from there? Because I know a lot of times stuff happens and we're like, oh, this is great, we're going to check, but then we're at a loss. What do we do with that information? So it's important to put an initial fraud alert on one of your credit reports. Then the credit bureau is going to know that, hey, there's a problem. And they're going to notify the companies that you've made an alert. That's their job. You want to freeze your credit report. And that means we're going to freeze this where nobody can open any new accounts with this social security number, with this birth date, with my name. That way, in the process of getting it reported and done, they're not going in and opening something else. Okay, and again, this is what we see a lot. They steal your credit cards, they steal a bill out of the mail. And what they do is they take your personal information. And so you're not seeing those things on every bill or your information or even coming out of your bank account right then. But they're opening brand new accounts. They may have gone out and got a charge account now with a local store that's got their own credit card, that they're running up all of these bills in your name. And obviously they're not going to go back and pay that. So you want to freeze that so they can't open any more. And then pull out your credit reports to be able to notify the police, your debt collectors, your businesses, which accounts were not yours. So, you're going to want to print that out. You're going to want to highlight some things, save the PDF of that in a secure location on your device, have that information so that you can go, no, these things are not mine, and verify that. This will create an identity theft report that will help you deal with any credit reporting companies, debt collectors, businesses that have accounts now in your name. When they come back and are like, hey, you're liable for this, you owe this money. So you're going to pull that together, submit a complaint to the Federal Trade Commission. Again, keep a copy of all these things so that if there's ever a question, you have it and you can show. File a police report. It is fraud. It is illegal. It's important that you let the police know that this has happened. In some cases, they're going to tell you, well, you know, there's really nothing we can do about it. Or these are cases that are hard to prosecute. They're hard to catch. We can't always track these people down. Still very important that they're made aware and that you have that report on file that it was made. You're going to attach both of these files with your identity theft report. You're going to keep those two things to be your identity theft report. And you're going to save those so that if there's ever a question down the road, you can say, no, I froze this. I had this information. I did not open these accounts. And that's going to protect you as you move forward. Y'all, we hear horror stories of people who it takes years to clean all this up, because every time they get it straightened out, these guys go out and open a new account. And so it's important that you keep this information and have it where you can access it should there ever be a question, because it's just protection for you. Again, I'm Mindy Turner with the Curry County Cooperative Extension Service, your family and consumer science agent. We are glad to take your calls if you need assistance with anything. I mentioned the publications are available online, or if you need us to send you a copy, give us a call, 575-763-6505. You can log on to our website, ask questions, sign up for our newsletter. We would love to have you, meet you, and give you some of that time. I'd like to thank Dr. Jorgenson for the information that's been provided, and hopefully you will find this helpful. Hopefully you'll never need this information, but should you, here it is.